What up, gamers? Welcome to this long overdue video on the Extinction Spreadsheet. So you may be wondering, Eric, what in the actual hell did you do this time? Well, this 11-page document here is the culmination of about 100 hours of testing I did, primarily back in like December of 2018, to find all of the weapon stats and enemy HP values and multipliers and movement speed stuff of Extinction. All those juicy details that the data miners just never got for some reason. So, since no one was actually cracking this game's code down to find like these values as written in the game's, in the game's code, I had to get my hands dirty, do it in game by myself. So, before I jump into this thing and just start kind of reading down it and explaining what it all says, I've posted a link to this. It's the first line of the description. It's a link to a Google Drive with this PDF. If you play Extinction, check this thing out. It might change the way you like look at certain aspects of the game. So, without further ado, let's just hop in. I don't have any script. I'm just going to kind of talk about this thing and hope I get everything. So, the the first two pages of this are the most important. They're the weapons. They're the weapon damages, the DPSs, the ammos, all this juicy stuff. So they're sorted into their classes. So we've got pistols, assault rifles, SMGs, and so on. And then within these classes, they are sorted by damage per second. This is the most important, or what I would consider to be the most important aspect of a weapon when you're choosing it. How quickly can it kill stuff, right? All of these damages are the point blank damage. That's why they say maximum damage. This is what happens at the front of their drop off curve. I haven't attempted to test their range drop off. There's about 15 guns where it is theoretically possible for me to find like the damage drop off curves, but I don't want to, and all of the rest of them would be literally impossible for me to test. So I'm just gonna not worry about how these things perform at range when I'm, ranking them in the spreadsheet. And that's really not too bad of a thing to work with because most of your engagements in Extinction happen up close and personal. So the max damage is a fairly accurate stat to assess a weapon by. So you'll notice that they are heat mapped with um, colder colors or like bluer colors being better and redder being worse. I've got the exact categories that I grouped them into down here in these little charts here for the DPS and the magazine count. And yeah, so they're all sorted like this. Bluer is good, higher is good. I've also included a kind of skeletonized version of this Cryptid Stats chart that I have later in the spreadsheet, just for some context here, so you can kind of estimate how fast a certain weapon would kill a certain enemy, right? Like if we look at the MP443, just raw, nothing on it, no weapon specialist or anything, it's doing 1,000 damage per second, and it would kill a hunter in just about a second, because the hunter has 1,100 HP. We take 1,000 of that off in a second. Just useful stuff to look at here. Also, important thing to consider, the DPS values of semi-autos are exaggerated in this chart because you have to remember that this rate of fire is not actually a rate of fire when you're talking about semi-autos. It's a fire cap. If you pull the trigger faster than this many times per minute, it's called oversampling, and it results in you actually shooting slower than you would be if you just took it at a calmer pace. So, what that means is for semi-autos, in order to actually achieve these super high DPSs that they're putting out, like the VKS here with its 2600, the Bulldog in the MTS with like 3000, the MR28 with like 1700. In order to actually achieve those, it's not about how fast you can smash your greasy little finger on the triggers. It's about the rhythm of it. Can you hold like 190 rounds per minute on the trigger? Like, are you gonna go like, right? It's about how steady you can hold it, and that's really hard to do with your finger. It's not used to going steady. So if you want to use semi-autos to their maximum potential, you actually have to practice a little bit. That's a thing I've learned when I was like going for the that barrier hive speed kill with the VKS. You actually have to like practice in order to get the semi-autos to really do their thing. Let's see, what do these notes say? Yeah. Oh yeah, M9A1. It's the only like built-in burst fire gun in the game, and it's pretty ass. Um, it's 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 within burst rate of fire is good, but when you average it out, it's trash. So don't use this gun. Um, the shotguns. So if you're not using explosive ammo, the shotguns act as you would expect shotguns to. They shoot 8 pellets that each do 75 damage. If you use explosive ammo, it instead of shooting a pellet, it shoots a slug that explodes. In theory, this slug does as much damage as all of the pellets hitting, but in practice it feels way weaker. I don't know why. That's another thing I might need to test a bit more. Also, this spreadsheet, um, this is not finalized. There's still quite a few things that I want to test at some point, and there's a few things in here that I am not entirely sure of. Like, I'll point them out when I get there. There's some things that have a bit of uncertainty. Um, I'll get to this tentacle in a sec. But for example, the limitations of testing mean that certain guns I don't have an exact damage value for, and I can't get an exact damage value for, but I can have a range of values it could be. Like this MR28 here. Truthfully, I don't know that it's exactly 515. I know that it's, somewhere between like 500 and 530. So, this is just my best guess. I just kind of take the average of the endpoints and call it there, and it's good enough. But there's some things where it's like the MR28 where I really can't do anything to refine this value any further. That's just going to be where it is. There are things that I still think I can test, though. For instance, this tentacle. Okay, so Mayday, third hive. Tentacle busts through the wall. You get a challenge that says defeat the tentacle before the hive is destroyed. You've probably seen that if you've played Mayday. I think that I just have this theory that the tentacle, it has a health bar. Its health bar might be somewhere around this amount, 18,000. It might not be, because my suspicion is that it has a health bar, but it also has a timer. And if you kill it, if you do all of its health bar, if you take it all off with damage before the timer runs out, it just stays there and continues taking hit markers but not actually taking any damage until the timer runs out. Basically, that means that there's like a minimum amount of time that you have to wait to kill the tentacle, and you can imagine how that would mess up my efforts to find out how much HP it has by shooting it, right? Because if I do all of its HP before the timer runs out, well then I've just done a ton of overkill damage, and I'm going to greatly like overestimate its HP. This claim, my claim, this little theory isn't entirely unfounded, because that is exactly how the Kraken fight works at the end of the game. If you've done the Kraken fight and like actually paid attention to it, you'll know that it has 4 phases. You can only deal a certain amount of its HP in those 4 phases. Once you knock out like that quarter of HP, it still takes hit markers, but it doesn't take any damage. That is exactly what I think is happening with the tentacle as well. That's something I'll need to test further. There's a few things like that in the spreadsheet. So I've been talking about this for like 9 minutes now. Let's move on to this chart. Okay, so what in the actual hell is this matrix? This tells you what weapons are located on what maps. It's pretty simple. So we've got the maps up top, all 5 of them. I color coded them because this is the color I think of whenever I think of these maps. And the way it works is you just got your weapon, and then I've highlighted what maps it's on. Weapon, what maps it's on. So, so you're like, man, I really want to, have a shitty time in quickscope with the USR. Well, it's only on Awakening, so you go there. Also, these are sorted by DPS within category. Like this order here is the same exact thing as this order up here, where they're sorted by DPS. So, higher up on this list, or higher up within each of these boxes, means it kills stuff faster. So yeah. One thing you notice, the Bulldog, the VKS, and Chainsaw, all of them are in the top 10 highest DPS guns, are on every map. So, that's cool. Yeah, yeah, it's pretty useful. Let's hopefully that makes it easier to read, because I know if you just look at this, it's like, what in the actual hell is this? But yeah, useful little map. Best way I could think of to show off where weapons are located. Okay, and then this little chart here, there is no new information on this page. This is just compiling information from the previous 3. Let's start it on the bottom half, actually. So these are as it says, the top 10 guns by their sheer potential point-blank DPS. If you notice, the first 4 are all semi-automatic. So remember what I said at the beginning. You actually have to like practice to achieve this fire rate. You can't just smash the trigger down and hope that this works. The next gun up is the ARX 160. It's the highest damage full auto in the game. I really like this gun. You should too. The only problem is its ammo capacity, but we'll talk more about each gun's individual characteristics when we get up here. IA2, another semi-auto. For some reason, it just has a way higher fire rate than the other DMRs. I don't know why. The K7, it's there too. Ripper. Um, so the Ripper, it would be really good if it had aim assist on console. Yeah, for some reason the Ripper just doesn't have aim assist. I don't know why. Legitimately no reason. It's not better than like some of the other guns. It just doesn't have aim assist. It makes it feel really weird and unresponsive to play with it on console. So if you're a freak, you can probably make it work, but it just feels so odd. Everyone's favorite chainsaws here too, and then the S805. So let's go to my personal favorite top 10. Uh, I'm gonna actually go through and kind of like try to justify each one of these. So my favorite gun is the MR28. It's it's kind of an acquired taste in the sense that you need to have a lot of shit unlocked before you can really recognize this thing's true potential. So it's a lot of people dismiss this gun because it's located in the first area of point of contact. So they pick it up and they try it out against scouts and they're like, wow, this thing sucks ass. The problem is the MR28, it really needs you to have Cryptid Slayer ammo, the Arcing Stun ammo upgrade, and Master Scavenger to shine. The reason for this is Cryptid Slayer ammo makes it explosive, so you can, you don't have to worry about missing as much. Um, it and then the Arcing Stun ammo gives it like arcing lightning bolts that go out to other enemies, dealing a significant fraction of the initial shot's damage and also setting them on fire. Then, the arc increases this thing's like beefy damage even further, and extended mags changes its magazine. Oh, I should probably explain what exactly the MR28 is for people who don't know. It's the HK417. If you've used it in multiplayer, you know that it's literally just a normal DMR there. But it is not that in Extinction. In Extinction, the MR28 shoots like half as fast as all of the other DMRs, and it has an 8-round magazine. That's tiny. The other ones have like 20. So, people get turned off from it because they see it shoots slow and it has no ammo. Like, why would I use this? It's because when you correct for those things, give it Cryptid Slayer ammo, this thing goes ham. I have a video up on my channel called mr28.mp4 where I use the MR28, with the loadout I was just talking about, to stomp like 17 rhinos in under a minute. It's really good. The next up is the ARX 160. It's a full auto, which means that this DPS is consistent. You don't have to do anything to make this really big damage per second happen. The only downsides to this are, well, that it's only on Nightfall and Mayday, and its ammo capacity. If you don't have extended mags on it, you're going to find that you run out of ammo a lot. I would honestly recommend, like, even if you don't have extended mags, if you don't have Cryptid Slayer, still try this thing out, because it kicks ass. Like, this DPS is really good. It's an AR, so it has some range to it as well. It can dish out on like the scorpions in Nightfall when they're up on like the scaffolding in the third area. It really puts in the work there. In the K7, it's basically what I use to substitute for the ARX on the later maps. There's no overlap here. It's it's basically an ARX with more ammo. Ammo's not as much of a problem here, but it has way less ability at range. It feels the K7 feels really really good up close. It has like super high DPS. It feels like really melty against the enemies, and you also move real fast because it's an SMG. But at a distance, it just feels real hard to hit your shots because of like the erratic recoil and um and like the lower damage at range because it's an SMG. But still top tier gun in my book. Then the SA-805, it's basically just the ARX but weaker and on point of contact. It has the exact same ammo problem, but yeah, it's literally basically just a stand-in for the ARX. Then the chainsaw. I used to not like the chainsaw because everyone used it, and I don't know, I was just all about the SA-805 and the MR28 life, and so whenever someone uses a chainsaw, I'm like, whatever, normie. And then I tried it out, and you know, it's it's all right. Uh, if it's like in its if you have it raw with no attachments, and if you have an extended mag, it's cool having like almost 1,000 rounds at your disposal. But if you can put a rapid fire on this thing, it goes off. Like I thought that was I thought that wouldn't work at all, but chainsaw rapid fire, it's fucking just as good as it was at release. So, you know, give this thing a shot, especially if you're a weapon. Well, you kind of have to be a weapon specialist. This movement speed, or not movement speed, the reload speed is pretty slow. But speaking of movement speed, for some reason the chainsaw has the same movement speed as an AR, so you move faster with it than you do with LMGs. So that's cool. Another buff to it. Vector CRB. It's only in the first two maps. Um, this SMG, it's an SMG. It has all those handling characteristics. It moves fast. It reloads fast. It ADS is fast. Switch weapon fast. It's fast as fuck. But it also has kind of like an oomph behind it that the K7 doesn't really have. This thing, it feels like the Vector can also hang at long range on like the K7. So it's good against the Scorpions in point of contact and Nightfall. It also is not lacking in the damage department, even though it has a slow rate of fire, which is real nice. Um, Next up is the VKS. If you saw that Barrier Hive speed kill video, you know that this thing puts out. It's really good. Um, it's it's a thing that I haven't fully acclimated to yet. I'm just not used to using a sniper rifle in Extinction and dealing with a scope, but um, I've come to acknowledge that this thing is actually like a top tier. It's a secret top tier, um, and I've been working to kind of incorporate it into my loadout a little more than just ignoring it. And then next up is actually the Bulldog. So this is the highest DPS weapon in the game. Like I'm pretty sure this thing beats out like the Venom X and the Disruptor in terms of damage. Like easily crushes them when you have it all pimped out. The reason I have it so low is because once you get Cryptid Slayer ammo, it changes from a shotgun, or well, it doesn't shoot buckshot anymore. When you use Cryptid Slayer ammo, it shoots slugs. And in theory, those slugs do like the same damage that the buckshot does. But in practice, it just feels so weak. I don't know if I don't know if that's a thing like the VKS where I just have to like get myself acclimated to it and just used to seeing only one bullet hole come out of the shotgun or what, but I don't know. It doesn't feel as powerful. It might be as powerful and I just need to get used to it, but yeah, that's the Bulldog. And then the R5 and the Maverick, these two are basically the same gun. The R5 is a little better in my opinion because its recoil is more controllable, although the Maverick does have a slightly higher rate of fire. These guns are they're um they're not like great at anything, but they're very versatile. You can kind of use them in any situation and make it through. Uh, they're If you use extended mag on them, you basically turn them into LMGs. Look at this ammo capacity, 60 plus 480. If you're doing a low ammo run, running an R5 or a Maverick with an extended mag can save your ass because of just the insane amount of ammo you get from throwing out a single box of it. Um, but when you're using an extended mag, you have to deal with this low ass DPS, and so you kill stuff really slow. I prefer to use them with rapid fire, sacrificing that bit extra ammo in order just to get some more damage per second out of them. And when you put rapid fire on these things, they really do. They start to feel just kind of like a weaker ARX, but with more ammo. So, you know, they're they're at the bottom of my top 10, but they're still in it because they're not the best, but they still work and they can do multiple things. Let's look at these other weapons. Why is this hole? Sometimes it just does weird stuff when you export it, and like there's holes in the lines. But I'll fix that in the next version. Um, Other weapons. The Honey Badger, rest in peace, was up. It was previously available on Point of Contact in Mayday, but with the release of Awakening, they removed it because they had problems attaching the arc on top of its integral suppressor. I don't know why they had problems, because the VKS is literally the exact same thing. It's an integral suppressor and it can't accept a muzzle brake, but they managed to get the arc on that. I don't know why they took the Honey Badger out. I love this thing. It was probably my favorite AR at the time. It's I mean, if you look at the color code here, it's literally exactly middle tier, but um it served an interesting role in Point of Contact. So here's something I want to point out. Let's see, where are these Point of Contact weapons? Okay, so there used to be 3 assault rifles on Point of Contact. There's the SA-805 and the AK-12, and then the Honey Badger, but the Honey Badger got removed. Let's see what we can see about these, right? The SA-805, where is it at? It has a 30 round mag and like 1300 damage per second. The AK, or yeah, 1280. The AK-12 has a 40 round mag and 900. If we head down here, the Honey Badger's got like 1100 DPS and 35. It is exactly in the middle of the AK-12 and the SA-805. It is the perfect balance between the two of them. That's why I liked it. It kind of hit. It struck like the exact midpoint of balancing DPS and ammo capacity, and then they just removed it. So may he rest in peace. Please bring him back. Yeah. And then I also went ahead and found some stuff out about the Death Machine, the MK32, the Riot Shield, all the equalizers. I like the Riot Shield to have on your back, but recently I've been experimenting more with the MK32 just to get the Riot Shield out of my weapon rotation because it kind of blocks stuff up. The Venom X, this is a hard one to test because the Venom X isn't available on Exodus, which is the only map that has an actual a challenge where I can read off damage values. So it's 1800 damage for the initial explosion. Maybe it's 2000. I don't know. Important thing about the Venom X, all 3 of the base variants are exactly identical except for the color. They're literally just palette swaps over each other. If someone says that the electric variant is better because it shoots lightning, they're just straight up wrong. They're literally just palette swaps. I mean, of course the SX is different because that one isn't even a Venom X. It just puts turrets down. The gas cloud, it does this much damage at this rate, this many times. So the damage cloud does a lot of damage. This adds up quick. That's a lot. And okay, the disruptor. This is important. Pay attention for this one, kiddos. The disruptor deals 2000 damage. Yup, just 2000. The big ass 10 shot, it shoots a little mini nuke, and the small just little wisp deal exactly the same damage. It doesn't seem like they should, but that's what it is. You can use this to your advantage, because if you instead of just using the disruptor 10 shot to just shoot it at the ancestor for some free damage, if instead you hit the ancestor, if you hit the ancestor shield with a disruptor grenade and then unload all 10 of the little shots individually on him, you will have dealt 10 times as much damage as you would have by hitting him with the big nuke shot. So yeah, that's cool. I'll probably make a video on that, just ancestor techniques at some point. And then this, damage multipliers. This shit, this is like taking over my life. These are these are really hard to test, and there's some wacky stuff going on, um, that I'll talk about later. But let's just not worry about that for now. So, one of the recent discoveries I made just this summer is that the arc does different things for different weapons. I thought it was just a blanket like 20% boost, but no. The arc on primary weapons on most primary weapons is a 34% damage boost. The If you have the pistol arc, it's only 25%, and if it's on the VKS, it's 17%. Why is it 17%? Well, it's really stupid. I think I know what happened. But I honestly don't even don't even want to get into that because it's really dumb. So just accept that for the VKS, the arc multiplier is 17%, just for some dumbass reason. Um, then the do less damage relic is a massive hit, 66%. That's big ouchie. And then armor, critical hit. The ancestor crit is a 20% boost. The weapon specialist ability, it says it gives you a massive boost to your damage. This is not true. It doesn't change the amount of damage you do per shot. It just gives you infinite ammo. So, important thing to consider there. The AP ammo upgrade is a 10% damage boost, but only when you shoot them in the armor. The incendiary ammo upgrade is a 20% damage boost, but that only applies to the fire, not the initial shot. The engineer +4 explosive damage multiplier is a 10% boost. This applies to explosive encrypted slayer ammo as well. So that's cool. And yeah, Seeker explosion. Wow, I'm gonna try that again. Seeker explosion protection. It cuts the amount of damage they do to you by 0.75. So that is quite noticeable. And then the take more damage relic is a 20% boost to the damage that you take when you get hit by enemies. Sorted them by offensive and defensive, by the way. Was that it on this page? Yeah, that was it on this page. Oh, and these multipliers, this is important. They're multipliers. They multiply. They don't add. If, for example, if I'm a level 4 weapon specialist, which is a 50% damage boost, with an arc, my net damage multiplier would be 2, not my net damage multiplier would be 2.01x, not 1.84x, because we have to multiply the 1.5 from the weapon specialist by the 1.34 from the arc, not add them together. That's really important. So this is the full fleshed out enemy chart here. I give it a little bit of color just so it's easier to look at. We've got their HPs here in blue. We've got I've also listed next to that like certain attack types and how much damage those do to you. Also, just for reference, your character has 100 HP. If you're a tank, you can take that up to 200, but yeah, it's 100. And then I've also got the cash yield just for shits of how much money you get for killing each individual type. So, a lot of these enemies only have one attack type. Some of them have different ones though. For instance, did you know that the Scorpion has a large shot and a small shot? I didn't really know that until testing, but he does. The large shot leaves the gas cloud, which does five damage. It hits you. This is 5 damage at a certain rate over a certain amount of time. I guess I just didn't record those, but you know what it does if you've ever been shot by a Scorpion. Cedar is literally just a Scorpion, but he can also put out a turret. I have the turret's damage over here. This is how much it does. Let's see what else we got. Anything noticeable or notable? Yeah, the mammoth. He has the shockwave is basically a beefed up version of the Rhino's smash. It kind of sends out a big ol' shockwave and spawns hunters. This thing hits you hard, does 50 damage. That's big ouchie wouchies. If a meteor falls on you, it kills you. Don't let a meteor fall on you. I've had it happen once. It was really embarrassing. If the breeder gives you like the full frontal stab, that will almost kill you, but you can actually survive it. Um, you know, what else we got? his shots deal 10,000 or 10,000. His shots deal 10 damage each, but they hit you really really fast, so you have to watch out for those. Um, yeah. Uh, the ancestor, this grab attack hits you 4 times, so um, it leaves you with like 12 health left afterward. So gotta watch out for that one. Or more, 24. I don't know. I don't math. What else we got notable on this? The obelisk. So if you're on awakening and you're doing those the vanguard sequences where you have to destroy um the obelisk to move on to the next area, you don't actually have to use the vanguard. You can kill them with just with your gun. But the problem is each obelisk has more health than the kraken. So yeah, it takes a while. I've killed one obelisk with the VKS arc, and that's how I got this number. But yeah, you can actually kill him. You don't need the quadcopter to do it. It just would take you like half an hour. And I suspect that the reason the quadcopter or the vulture drone is able to kill the obelisk so fast is because that critical hit multiplier it has from shooting the rocket, the big rocket at the obelisk. I'm guessing that multiplier is like 15 times or some massive value because it doesn't seem to do that much damage to like normal enemy types. So yeah, that was it for the enemy HP and damage chart. Let's talk about movement speed. Oh boy, this is some fun stuff. So there isn't really that many things that modify movement speed, and each individual multiplier is pretty simple on its own. Some important things to note: stand your ground is a big ol' cut. It multiplies your base movement speed by 0.7. Um, the medic, the medic +1 upgrade. It says it so. The medic +1 says you move faster. The medic +4 says extremely fast movement. That's kind of vague. The medic 1 gives you a 10% boost to your movement speed. The medic 4 doesn't change it. What the medic 4 does is it gives you a an extra 5% to your sprint speed on top of the plus or on top of the 10% that you got from medic 1. So the medic 4 movement speed buff really isn't that valuable. It doesn't help you that much. What else we got? The pistol +1 upgrade is big. It's a 10% movement speed buff. You notice that a lot. Oh, and then all of the things that say they increase your sprint duration, they just change it from 4 to 8, and these don't stack. So that's sad. You can't have like 30 seconds of sprint, but you just got to roll with it with the 8 seconds of sprint. So that looks pretty simple. The way they combine is not. I actually have like a little video prepared, like a demonstration, like of how this works, and we'll cut over to that in just a bit. But I'll kind of give you like a preview of what you're gonna see there. Whenever you throw Feral Instincts, the game just drops all of the base movement speed multipliers that you had. So if you had stand your ground and you're moving at 0.7, 0.7 of the normal movement speed, and you drop Feral Instincts, which gives you a 20% boost, it doesn't net out to like a 90% movement speed because of the 0.2. It is 1.2, right? It completely ignores the stand your ground. I've given a few examples of this down here in this little box. So, I mean, these things, they combine like the damage multipliers do, where you just multiply them together, except when you have Feral Instincts. If you have Feral Instincts, you drop your base movement speed multiplier and just replace it with the Feral Instincts one, right? I've done an example of this down here, right? If we have the Medic 4 upgrade, the Stand Your Ground, which makes us move at 70%, and Ferals, nothing matters but the Ferals. right? If we have Stand Your Ground and Pharaohs, nothing matters but the Pharaohs. If you have Stand Your Ground, Pistol 1 and Pharaohs, the pistol actually carries over because the pistol isn't part of your base movement speed, it's your weapon movement speed. It just sounds like a bunch of gibberish when I'm saying it right now. I have a video prepared to demonstrate this, and hope you'll know. It's really easy to see in video. So we're gonna cut over to that now. So we're on Mayday now. I've taken out the first hive just to get some skill points, and I'm going to show you how these movement speed multipliers combine. So there's really two things we need to be thinking about. There's our base movement speed, and then there's our weapon movement speed. The base movement speed is just how fast I would move if I had nothing, just my fists out. And then the weapon movement speed is a modification on top of that, which, you know, it changes how fast I move based on what weapon I'm currently holding. So when I have the MP443, I move at my base movement speed. When I switch over to the VKS, I'm going at like 90% of that, so it's a little bit slower. And then when I switch to the Riot Shield, it's even slower. I'm not actually sure what the Riot Shield multiplier is. It's definitely just the same as Multiplayer, but when I switch over to the MP443, notice how I speed up a little bit. So I'm going to upgrade the MP443. This first upgrade here gives me a 10% movement speed when I have the MP443 out. This is going to make it much more obvious when I change weapons. You can see it, the weapon speed multiplier taking effect. Look how slow I'm going with this Riot Shield. I switch over to the MP443 and I just like boost forward. That's the weapon speed multiplier. I can change my base multiplier with two things, right? I can have the Stand Your Ground relic, which is what I have on right now. It's why I'm going so damn slow. It's a 70% cut to my, or it's a 70% multiplier to my base movement speed, right? If I upgrade my medic ability with one, you can see this is going to give me move faster, increase protection while reviving others. That's a 10% movement speed buff. And now my base movement speed is just a little faster, so no matter what weapon I have out, I'm going a little faster than I was before I upgraded that medic one. This is where it gets weird now. Feral Instincts, move 20% faster while boosted. I just got that upgrade. So, how does that combine with all of the multipliers we have at play now? Well, what it does is it completely drops every single thing we have for our base movement speed multiplier and replaces it with 1.2. So the Stand Your Ground 70%, gone. It doesn't exist anymore. The medic 10%, gone. It doesn't exist anymore. All we have is our weapon multiplier, so whichever gun I have out at the time, so whether I'm with the slow Riot Shield, the fast MP443, or the medium VKS, it's just that multiplier on top of the 1.2 from the Ferals. This looks insane, and it's kind of counterintuitive, but just watch. This is how fast I normally sprint with the pistol out, right? It's pretty slow. Here comes Ferals. Oh, yeah, that's fast, right? What the fuck? Don't I have Stand Your Ground on? It's a 70%, like, Stand Your Ground cuts my movement speed by 70%, but Ferals just says F you to that 70%, just replaces it with 1.2. Ferals just wore out. Now I'm slow again. I'm gonna throw it again. Here, I'll do it with the VKS out this time. Going real slow. I'm at the 77% base movement speed thanks to like medic and Stand Your Ground. I throw Ferals, that 77% just gets deleted from history and replaced with 1.2. Here we go. Now I'm fast. This is really cool. This is it makes runs with this Stand Your Ground relic a lot less painful. It's also got some very interesting applications for speedrunning, I would say, because it makes the medic class kind of obsolete. You won't really need to have the medic multiplier because Feral Instincts just ignores it completely. Alright, so that was a lot. I hope that made sense. If it didn't and you want to see more, let me know. I can try to explain it in a different way. But yeah, back to the spreadsheet. Okay, We're back to the spreadsheet now, and hopefully that made sense for the movement speed chart. Let's go down to the hive duration. This is really simple. This is literally just how long each hive lasts. It doesn't matter what physical location you do the hives. This is how long they last on what numerical order you do them. Is there anything interesting to note here? The final hive and point of contact is 5 minutes. The first one is 30 seconds. So, you know, a little disparity there. This one's 10 times longer. Nightfall, nothing really unusual there. All of them in the second and third area, just 3 minutes. What do we got? Oh, I think Mayday was actually a little exception to this. The UGV hive, the one with the little vehicle that you have to send out, I believe that one's always 3 minutes, and the other two hives are always 2 minutes. Mayday's just a little weird in that way. Awakening all the obelisks take 2 minutes, even the big ones at the end. The arc takes 4 minutes minimum. If one of the terminals gets downed, it stops your progress. So, you know, it's 4 minutes plus however long it takes you to get those terminals all back up and running. In Exodus, you know, all the generators are the same length, and the doors just go up by 15 seconds each time. Pretty simple, but good to know stuff here in the hive duration chart. And then this is just XP to complete each level. Again, real simple stuff. Class ability duration. So this is like the weapon specialist infinite ammo upgrade. This is how long it lasts when your class is leveled up to a certain level. So as you level your class up, the things last longer. They don't get stronger, right? There's no additional damage on the weapon specialist upgrade. You don't heal faster with the medic. They just last longer. I stole this little prestige graphic here from the Wikipedia page. It's useful to know if you see someone with like this, you're like, oh, that person's prestige 15. Good to have. And then I've included a bunch of XP notes here. Prestige in Extinction doesn't work like it does in Multiplayer. It's not a choice. Once you hit level 30, the next thing it does is automatically take you back to level 1 of the next prestige. However, you don't lose anything. There's literally there's no reason to not prestige even if you actually had a choice in the matter. You know, you go back to level 1, but you retain everything that you've unlocked. It gives you like a tooth, and it gives you an extra relic slot, so you can put another relic on and use that to get XP faster. It takes 1.7 million XP to complete an entire prestige. From my experience, the amount of XP you get from a game depends on how well you do and what map it is. I believe the highest that I've ever seen someone do in a solo game is like 1.1 million on hardcore point of contact. So, you know, that man could prestige in 2 games. If he pulled off 2 world records back to back, he would do that. And then I close it out with just this massive like 2-page thing of notes. So I'm just gonna kind of talk about these. Let me get some water first. Okay. Boss fights. So during the breeder fights, you can only hit the breeder with critical hits, right? So you can only shoot the breeder for damage in his eyes or her eyes and mouth, right? Anywhere else, it doesn't do any damage. From my experience, it seems like some regions that you shoot the breeder cause it to take more damage than others, like within the crit zone. I don't know what's up with that. That's another thing that requires testing. There's a lot of things I still intend to test, and some things on this spreadsheet that I'm not sure about and need to retest. That's like one of them. If you're in the final fight with the breeder, so earlier I said the breeder final fight has 20,000 HP, right? If you so whenever you do enough damage to the breeder, he like falls over and he stumbles, and he's just sitting on the ground, and he's got this like glowing thing, or she's got this like glowing thing on her abdomen, and you can shoot that and blow it up, and it takes off 1/5 of the breeder's HP. That is weak shit. Don't do that. Instead, just shoot it in the face. like as much as possible while it's down. You will deal more than twice as much damage as you would by shooting its like quote weak point, just by shooting it in its normal spot in the face. So I mean, if you've watched my video on Nightfall, you'll see how I kill the breeder in there. You just stumble the breeder and then just wreck the face. Don't even worry about the weak point. So the Kraken fight, it has 4 stages, but the percent of Kraken health that you take off in each stage is not 25 for each one. It goes 20, 25, 25, 30 across the stages. And um, you cannot do any more damage than that in each stage. And you cannot do any less damage than that in each stage, right? He pops up on one side of the ship, you do exactly 20% of his health, he goes under. Pops up on the other side, 25% goes under, 25% goes under, 30% dies. It cannot happen in any other way than that. You cannot save any time by trying to like sneak in extra damage. The minimum possible amount of time for the Kraken fight is 8 minutes 55 seconds. Take that to the fucking bank. It cannot happen faster than that. I had some fuck ass once try to tell me that he beat the Kraken fight in 3 stages, and I just kind of like I didn't like look at him with like the what the fuck look, because you know we're in a PlayStation game, but I was judging that kid. I still am judging that kid. Like, bro, shut the fuck up. Okay, sorry. I have the Ancestor critical hit multiplier of 1.2 doesn't apply to the Death Machine or MK32. There's some weird shit going on with the Ancestor critical hit multiplier. We'll talk about that later. More stuff I need to test, more rabbit holes that I need to go down. Oh yeah, in the Exodus Medusa fight, you just get given a skill point every 4 minutes for just being there. It leads you into something I think I say later, is that because of this kind of thing, you actually can max out your loadout in Exodus. Like, there is enough skill points to be had to theoretically like upgrade every single thing in your loadout, but that only happens on Exodus and if you get lucky. So, cool stuff. Money multipliers, another type of multiplier. Um, in point of contact, once you get to the third area, as long as you aren't in hardcore, you will get a 1.3x money multiplier for the rest of the game. This makes point of contact even easier than it already was, because now you can just pop off things. You get so much money for anything. It's great. In Mayday, once you plant the drill in the third area, you get a 50% money multiplier, so it cuts the amount you get in half. This sucks, especially if you have smaller wallet, because then you've got, in half, but also like with a 3/4 on top of it from the smaller wallet. It's just rough. You used to get this same 50% money multiplier in Nightfall as well, but they just removed it at some point. I'm assuming because the map was like way too hard at launch. I have a lot written down here for Incendiary and Armor Piercing ammo. So, Incendiary does, it does damage over time, resulting in an additional 132 per shot. We can up that with the Incendiary ammo upgrade. I like this. It's just a little extra. Sometimes it finishes enemies off for you. Shooting an enemy with Incendiaries multiple times, it resets the pulse counter, but the damage doesn't stack. So, if I shoot an enemy twice in a row, like right before the first pulse of fire can even kick in, we're not getting 264 damage. We're still only getting 132, but I can extend the amount of time it's on fire by, shooting it, waiting for the fire to kind of run out, and then shooting them again. Kind of like how the propane tanks work, or exactly the same as how the propane tanks work on point of contact. Yeah, like I said with the fire, the 1.2 only applies to the fire. The shotguns, it's the same thing here, right? You only get this 132. You don't get 132 times 8 for the different pellets. The AP ammo upgrade, like I said, only applies to the armor. This is an interesting one here. The ammo in your weapon affects other parts of your loadout. For instance, having AP rounds in your gun will give you an armor-piercing knife. And, because of this 10% damage multiplier, you can one-hit kill scouts while not being a tank by knifing them in their armor with AP rounds in your gun. Weird stuff. It's cool though, you know. This also works kind of for incendiaries. It doesn't make your knife incendiary, but it does make your grenades incendiary. It makes your disruptor 10 shots incendiary as well, as long as you switch back to your primary weapon before the disruptor shot hits the enemy. Shit's whack, bro. I don't know. I don't know why that happens, but it does. Um, and then yeah, Cryptid Slayer ammo with the arcing stun upgrade. Um, whenever you shoot an enemy with Cryptid Slayer and this upgrade, it arcs out lightning from that enemy and hits other ones around it. The lightning bolts, I haven't been able to like test this extensively, but I estimate that the bolts do something like 70% of the initial shot's damage to all the enemies that it hits around it, which is a lot. And that's why in my MR28.mp4 video, the rhinos all died so quickly, is because of these lightning bolts. Goddamn, I've been talking for 46 minutes now. The take more damage relic doesn't affect how much damage your armor takes, so you know that's an interesting way around it. You can just having armor kind of counters take more damage. It also doesn't affect how much damage your teammates take. That was a little rumor that was going around at some point. Enemies. What miscellaneous notes do you have about them? Right. So in Nightfall, the rhinos have this special animation that they don't have in any other map. It's just a variation of their charge attack, but they curl up into a little ball like armadillos and roll to you like twice as fast as the as their normal charge attack. It's really scary when it happens. Um, oh, and this is a fun one. Don't put claymores on the drill, because if a scorpion shoots the drill, the claymores will blow up, and it counts. The claymores blow up, and they count as enemy damage against the drill. Each claymore does like 70 damage. So if you've got 3 of them, and a scorpion just shoots the drill, which they do, like they're programmed to do that from time to time, it'll just instantly end your game. So don't put claymores on the drill, or at least don't put them pointing at the drill. You can put them around it, like facing out. Teeth. This, oh my god. The grinding for teeth is gonna need to be its own video at some point. All I want to say about that right now is there's a rumor that goes around um, that if you beat the game without going down or repairing the drill, it yields you extra teeth. That is incorrect. Um, you can go down as many times as you want. You can repair the drill as many times as you want. As long as you beat the game, it doesn't. Well, no, that just doesn't change the amount of teeth you get. And then yeah, without going too nitty gritty, if you're trying to farm teeth, um, the most important thing is to get a completionist and a platinum escape. The completionist is worth 6 teeth total. The platinum escape I believe is worth 3. So yeah, use. Also, if you're in hardcore, that's an extra 3. So use as many relics as you can while consistently getting completionists. I would define consistent as like 90% or higher. So, you know, use no machines. That's a good one. It lets you move around a lot. Um, use take more damage with armor. I like those. So, yeah. Completionist platinum escape if you're farming teeth. Ultra hardcore. Yes, sir. I love this difficulty. There is an unofficial 4th difficulty that I like to call ultra hardcore. You get this by just playing alone by yourself in a hardcore custom game. It's the same as a regular solo hardcore, except you've got more enemies, more like what you would see in a 4-player co-op. You have no self revives, and they also hurt the drill more. I've done like 5 hours of content on this. It's real fun. Miscellaneous, just some fun facts. Um, there are places in the maps where people think that you can just AFK forever without enemies ever spawning. Big example is after a barrier hive on point of contact. This isn't true. In every case that I've seen, the enemies will eventually spawn, but it just takes a hilariously long amount of time. Like, the barrier hives on point of contact, I think it takes like 2.5 hours before they spawn enemies in. It's crazy. I don't know why they even bother, but yeah. And then, like I said earlier, Exodus, it's theoretically possible to get enough skill points to completely max out any loadout, 37 of them. You have to, in order to make this happen, you have to do a completionist, you have to do all of the, well, a completionist, you have to do both of the extra doors, and then you have to luck out and get 3 extra ancestors to spawn at the end, because each ancestor you kill gives you a skill point. And then this one, okay, let me drink up before this shit, okay. Alright, so the theoretical maximum weapon damage multiplier is 2.32x. That is 232% damage, or you can think of it as a 132% bonus. You theoretically get this by playing as a maxed out weapon specialist engineer double class with explosive or cryptid slayer ammo, the armory damage upgrade, and an arc on your primary weapon. And I've done the math for that right here. You've got 1.5 from the weapon specialist plus 4, 1.1 from the engineer plus 4, 1.05 from the armory damage upgrade, and 1.34 from the arc, resulting in 2.32115 as your final multiplier. Keyword: theoretical. Everything that I've seen up to this point tells me that this should work. There's nothing in my experience that says it shouldn't. And yet last night, when I was just doing this as like my final double check on the Ancestor challenge, the deal 5,000 damage to ancestors in a certain amount of time, I didn't get the result I expected. For some reason, it didn't work. The amount of damage I got was exactly 2/3 the amount I calculated, which tells me that for whatever reason, this weapon specialist 50% damage boost was not in effect every time I shot the Ancestor's crit point. And, like, I didn't just shoot him once. I shot him, like, 10 times. Just, you know, for, I always do that just to make sure I got a large sample size, make sure nothing, like, fucking weird happened. Like, it went through something, or, like, the shot was out of range, or I shot him multiple times, and every single one, I was doing two. In every single one, this weapon specialist upgrade was apparently not active. This opens a massive rabbit hole that I don't want to deal with right now. I don't have the motivation to fuck around with that right now. Because like what could have possibly caused the weapon specialist damage boost to just not work? Like, does it just not work against an ancestor? Uh, is there some kind of like limit on the amount of multipliers you can have active at once? Like, am I only able to have 3 of them up at once? And if that's the case, then what determines which multiplier is active? You know, um, is I had an R5 with an arc doing this test. Is it something with the R5? Is it something with the arc? Is it something with specifically the R5 and the arc? Um, is is there just a chance that that whenever you start a game, that the weapon specialist plus 4 just doesn't fucking work that game? I I don't know. There's so many possibilities as to why I didn't find, or why I didn't find what I wanted to find, and all of them are insanely stupid. So, like I say here, let's just take the blue pill for now and just forget that that happened. Um, you know, you it's not too big of a deal though, right? Because the weapon specialist engineer combo is definitely not as good as the weapon specialist medic combo. Like, the extra 10% you get from the engineer explosive is really not worth sacrificing all of the survivability stuff that you gain from being a medic. So yeah, I'm shelving this one for later. If I ever get motivated to do another huge round of testing, I'll check it out. Um, but yeah, that's the spreadsheet. I've been talking for an hour. My throat hurts. Yeah. If someone wants to tackle this bullshit, be my guest. If someone wants to help me tackle this bullshit, like, please. That'd be really cool. Um, yeah, if you made it this far, you're fucking insane. I don't know why you would. Uh, bye.